All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging in there with us going into day 3 of the draft. We felt like we've had a productive couple days. It's been a lot of hard work, but we've gotten a lot of guys that we like. Guys we feel that add to kind of the fiber of who we're hoping to be as a team on and off the field. And the next in that line, we're excited to add Akayleb Evans out of Missouri. He's a guy that we've liked through the process. Obviously his size and length stand out right away. He's got some speed to go with that. We watched him through the process. He's a guy that impressed us as scouts. Once our coaches got their hands on him, they were on board with him too. So we were very fortunate to get him where we did, and we're excited to add him to the fold. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Yeah, it's just Chisom said he'll take some questions. So if you want to put your name in the chat, we can get this started.
Tim, you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Chisom, do you see Evans as being a position flexible guy? I mean, he's almost big enough to be a safety in a traditional sense, at least. I was wondering what you guys saw in him in terms of positional flexibility.
Yeah, that's a good question. We see him more as an outside corner. That's where he played at Tulsa. That's where he played at Missouri. But, anytime you have a guy with some size and length, it does create some opportunities in matchup settings, maybe covering some tight ends, doing some specialized stuff. But I think primarily he's an outside guy. And then as we kind of get him comfortable, we'll see if he can handle some different roles for us.
We'll go to Andrew, then Ben.
Hey, Chisom, thanks for doing this. Just with him here, it looks like a lot's been written about being a possible fit for zone defenses, zone heavy defenses. What is it about that, if you agree with that kind of makes him a possible fit with that kind of scheme?
I think, his, I guess, history of doing it, he's got really good eyes, really good feet. He's got some time on task, at it. He sees the game well. And then for a bigger guy, I feel like he has the quickness and the burst to kind of do some of the man-to-man stuff. And as I mentioned earlier, anytime you have a long arm corner, it lends itself well to kind of developing his press technique and being a factor that way. But I think the zone stuff just comes more natural to him because that's what he's done and he's had success with it.
Yeah, Chisom, just to follow up on that a little bit, what will he have to improve on in the times where he is going to be in man situations in the NFL? It seems like he's had maybe a little bit of an issue grabbing, getting his hands on receivers a little bit too much. Is that something he'll have to work on? And what other things kind of come to mind there in terms of man coverage?
Yeah, I mean, I think for all of our guys, making the jump from college to the pros, it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I think for him, technique, he has the athletic ability to do it. He's got the feet and hips that you like at that position. But I think, as I said, he was asked to play a lot of zone during his college, so maybe he likes some time on task that way. But, between Devontae and Roy and the veterans that we have in that room, I think, those things are relatively easy fixes.
Matthew, go ahead.
Hey, Chisom, thanks for doing this. Just wondering about, with corners that don't have a lot of interceptions in college, kind of how do you weigh that portion of it? The league obviously doesn't have, quarterbacks don't throw a ton of interceptions in the NFL in general, but I wonder how you weigh that as a factor in college.
Right. In a lot of ways, it's a production business. We do look at the pass defense. We look at the interception production, but there's a lot of context behind any stat. So you kind of want to look a little bit deeper into his targets. What is he doing? When the ball is thrown his way. Sometimes you're not in a position to intercept the ball, and just knocking it down is the best thing you can do. So just looking at the context of whether he has a lot of picks or doesn't have a lot of picks, just seeing how that happened, and then you kind of connect some dots with what you see at the Senior Bowl, what you see at the Combine. Watching his hands, watching him track the ball, and understanding the whys of, why he may not have that production.
Dave?
Hey, Chisom, Kwesi talks a lot about collaboration in this whole process. I'm just wondering from your perspective and the scouts' perspective, what that's been like, what kind of questions he asks, how he seeks, sort of the input from your area in making these picks.
Well, it's been great, first and foremost. I think, as you guys have seen, Kwesi's a very smart guy. And I think, one of the best things about him is that for a guy who's so smart, he's still like really intellectually curious. Like he doesn't just rest on what he knows. He wants to challenge himself. He wants to even find ways to think better or have better models or better opinions that he already has. So, whether it comes to reaching out to scouts or coaches or analytics or any of the different inputs, he's not intimidated by more information. So to me, like that makes it easy to speak your voice as scouts, whether you may be right or wrong, and just putting it out there and kind of having those conversations to get us closer to the right answer.